Good morning, everybody, and you'll probably be listening to this on a replay. We are having a GDPR teaser session with Annabelle Kay. Annabelle is absolutely phenomenal with all the things regarding kind of GDPRs, etc., etc. And she's also going to be at Torrington Hall on the 4th of April. So hopefully we'll be adding her into the live in just a moment. And there she is. Hello.
Morning. Hi.
How are you doing?
Sorry. Fine. I couldn't find my thing to hold my phone steady, so I'm wobbly this morning. But apart
It's
from
okay.
that, I'm doing really well.
It's okay to be wobbly first thing in the morning, and it's still first thing in the morning because it's still the morning.
It is as far as I'm concerned. Let me find something to wedge it against so it doesn't keep moving. No, that's not going to work. There. That'll do better.
And
Good morning, Chris.
Full disclosure to everyone, it's entirely my fault that that's happening because I was dramatically underprepared Annabelle for the live, so that's my fault. I'm actually in Grant Thornton today as well, so give you a little show there in one of their little private rooms, which is actually pretty good. Okay, so we are going to give a quick teaser to everyone who obviously comes onto the live, and then people will be able to watch the video back afterwards in the group. We're going to be talking about GDPR. And I think there's a couple of things that I'd like to at least touch on. The first one being, I guess, could you give us a really quick overview of GDPR? And obviously, with the idea, this is a bit of a teaser because you'll be doing a full session on it for us on the 4th.
GDPR stands for the General Data Protection Regulations, which is a lovely acronym that means absolutely nothing to most people. I tend to think of them as treat your clients and teams' information with respect rules is a better way to go. And given where we are in the news cycle, if I mention the word Facebook and Cambridge Analytics, can I give you a clue as to what the problems might be if you don't?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right, isn't it? I mean, there's so much, there's a really impressive word for it, but I don't know what that word is. There's a lot of hype kind of around the GDPR, but I think you're right. At the base of it, it's the respect level that you give the data that you've got, right?
Absolutely.
So great. I think one of the things that we spoke about when we spoke before was it's that fear element, especially for small businesses, because I've read obviously part of the documentation and I don't want to get sued $10 million or 20 million euros or whatever the fine is. So do you think there's a chance you could dispel some of that kind of fear for us and say this is kind of what the GDPR is about?
Yeah, well, I think GDPR is really about not collecting data you don't need, securing it, not keeping it forever, and not taking the Michael and our Facebook and Cambridge Analytics, really. I think the reason why people are afraid is that, first of all, I think the Information Commissioner is doing a good job for a bureaucrat who's used to explaining legal things. But when I go into my groups with VAs and web designers and graphic designers that actually don't understand the words, there's an awful lot of words explaining GDPR, and most of us don't read 180 pages of small print for a living. And the people who have read it come out, go, well, that's lovely. I know what I'm going to be fined for, but what do I actually need to do? And I think the core fear is, there's a problem, but the solutions are very inaccessible. And a lot of people are out there selling very expensive remedies. So I had a client the other day, someone rocked into their reception and they said, you will not be able to be in business after May unless you basically use our services. And it needs to start with £1,000 for us to write you a report. Well, fortunately, it was a client of mine because he threw the guy out and went, I've already done my data audit, mate. I know what I'm doing. Go away. But I think it's a bit like Y2K. People are using it to sell stuff. And why not? We're all in business, but sometimes things can go a bit far.
That is absolutely, if you know what it is Y2K. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, 100%. You've hit the nail on the head. It's just this, everyone's got a different opinion. These big companies are coming through. The first the first session I had on it was quite a while ago by a legal company, and they said basically they got this really thick document and they wanted to condense it, the Data Protection Act, condense it and make it more succinct. So they've made it less succinct and bigger, So now everyone can't understand it unless you've got that mindset. And like, I don't understand most of the words that are in it. And that scares
I
me.
understand all of the words that are in it. That's because I've been reading EU directives for a living for 38 years. So I view my role in the GDPR space as translating gobbledygook to human.
Yeah,
really.
yeah, 100%.
Because
100%.
in the end, human people have to make decisions about what to do with it. And human people have to decide when they get data in the business, what that means in terms of, do I press this button or that? Do I delete? Do I forward? Do I retain? Yeah. So unless you can get it down to human, it's not much use to anyone, is it?
No, exactly. Which actually transitions nicely into my next question, which is where and what data can we keep? Because I know we spoke about this before as well, and I was intrigued with the way that you were looking at it.
Well, there's a lot of mythology about that, and that's something I'm going to cover when I come and visit you all, because this is supposed to be a taster session, not a seminar on money that runs all day. But basically, you need to stop keeping data you don't need at all, right? We have a kind of nosiness and hoarding tradition with data. You've probably got back databases of customers you haven't spoken to for 10 years if you're an established business, and you need to stop hoarding stuff like that. You're not trying to keep a historic record of your email system. Most of those people aren't even there anymore. It's a bit pointless. We need to keep it securely, and we need to be careful about sending certain types of data overseas, because the EU, and I think quite rightly personally, doesn't view other countries as necessarily properly securing people's rights to privacy.
Right.
And so you can't just dump it anywhere in the world. And we have this problem that we think our data's in the cloud, but the cloud is not a country. Is it? It's got to be somewhere. Yeah. And until the UN recognises the cloud as a state somehow, our data is all somewhere. And there are big problems with shipping it to certain countries because it's not secure. That doesn't mean you can't. The way to look at GDPR is, if you really need to, then you need to do specific things. Those things are a bit of a pain. So if you don't need to, it's easier not to.
Right.
So it's not about
this
what
is something
you
we
can't.
spoke about as well, wasn't it? It was that common sense almost, or sense, maybe not common sense, but certainly sense about, do you need to keep that data? I think you mentioned before when we were chatting about if the life cycle of your customer is 1 year, you probably won't need that data for 10 years.
Not in terms of the sales side. We did an analysis in our own business, interestingly, and we have got people buying stuff from us today that our first point of contact with was 5 years ago. We've got quite a long sales cycle. Now, I don't know if that's because I'm rubbish about sales, whether other people would do it quicker, or whether that's the natural sales cycle in a business that's fundamentally built on relationships. People need to have a lot of touch points with us. So it would be completely stupid for me to delete all my sales data after a year.
Yeah, of course.
And the reason I'm saying that is someone got hold of me this week and said they'd been to a webinar or a seminar, and someone had said to them, you can't keep any information in your business for longer than a year.
Right.
And I was like, this would be the Alzheimer's business model, wouldn't it? Whenever a client got back to us, we'd go, no idea who you are. Really have no idea. Tell me one more time.
Whereabouts were you in the sales funnel? Were you warm?
Who are you anyway? We've never met. But there's a lot of craziness going on out there and I think it's because there's an old saying, isn't there, to the man with a hammer, every problem is a nail. So if you're a lawyer, GDPR is about compliance documents. It's about generating paperwork. If you are a data security expert, it's about putting cyber stuff on your site and techie-wecky things that nobody understands except for other techie-wecky people. And that's all terribly important. If you're a sales and marketing person, the whole of GDPR is about, can I or can I not get people into my lead magnets, And Claire's saying it's quite common for people to be on mailing lists for years. Trust takes a lot of time. So to have an absolute rule that all your data should be deleted after X dates in every single business is insane. And of course, what happens is a lot of people who aren't used to, I hate to use this word, but interpreting the law with nuance, with practical nuance, and sitting down with people and saying, that's all very interesting, but how do we make this work in your business? They like simple things. So they go delete everything after a year, never offer a lead magnet, double opt-in's
Yeah.
the only way to go. And it's
Yeah.
simple, and you certainly never go wrong with that, but you might have great difficulty trading your business.
Yeah. Of course.
And of course, you didn't get into business simply to comply. So there's a space between respecting data and complying with the law and actually having this work with your business model that needs to be addressed. And you can't do it by going on a 10-minute webinar and going, I've got it all done. I'm sticking a random
Yeah.
data privacy on my website and that's it, me sorted.
Yeah.
Well, you
Okay.
could,
So,
but you'd find out in a couple
well,
of
you
years you
could.
weren't
Yeah.
sorted.
Yeah. Exactly. So I guess the last question is, and you've kind of touched on it anyway, is what can we do about it? And I know that obviously on the 4th of April over at Torrington House, Torrington Hall, you'll be doing a bit more of a in-depth look at GDPR and the effects it will have on businesses. But I also know, because we've been talking, that you have a program that you have in place for GDPR training. Is that correct?
Well, I wouldn't call it training, Millie. I'm working with groups. So we cluster around the same business. So we have groups for trainers, a group for VAs. We've got a digital VIPs group. We've just launched one for therapists because they have a lot of health data, which needs very special respect and
Yeah.
attention. We cluster around groups that want us, and I wouldn't describe it as training. Yes, we go through, as it were, a collective structured audit. We discuss, we share information, but the people in that group are as much a source of thoughtful and useful contribution as I am. Whereas there's something about the word training which implies I'll tell you everything.
Of
But
course. Yeah.
actually, because they're all in the same industry, people will go, well, we've looked at it this way, and someone else will go, I've looked at it that way, and I'll go, well, that's interesting, because all you need to do because of the regs is tweak that little bit there, and that could work. And then someone will go, yeah, but in our little bit, not. So although the information's there, we're going through a process from audit to thinking to a data privacy policy that actually works in that industry, not a sticking plaster
Okay.
one.
So,
And
so a bit more of
it's
a
not really
community,
training.
bit more of a community kind of
It's kind
collaborative
of
approach.
co-coach. Yeah, it's more co-coaching. We've got obviously legal specialists in there. We call in tech specialists. We've got a great one live on our Facebook page. I think it's the 28th of March before I come and see you, from a tech specialist who's going, I'm fed up with everyone being told you've got to buy thousands of pounds worth of new software. Let's have a look at cheap ways to secure your mobile devices. So we pull in expertise. I couldn't tell you the answer to that. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. Okay.
Nobody knows
Yeah.
everything, do they?
And I think that's
how
what
we
you've
work.
alluded to as well, isn't it? Is that actually, to every man, every carpenter, a nail and a hammer go together. Like
Yeah.
the lawyers think one direction, the IT people think another direction. Nobody's really got a holistic approach to GDPR. So that's what that community will kind of help bring through.
Yeah,
So
and some communities are very tech-minded. I mean, the digital VIPs all want to know if I export my data via Infusionsoft to Taiwan, put it through a lead magnet, blah, blah, blah. These are questions that health therapists in Huddersfield don't tend to come up with, It's nice to separate the groups because they have core elements that are all the same, but they have different concerns. And it's also lovely to see people help each other this way.
yeah, okay. And then and what's that called? Is that the digital VIP group?
We have a whole series of groups. If you check our Coffee Clutch page, coffeeclutch.co.uk, and I'm sure we could type it in if I wasn't on the phone.
I'll put the link down to that.
You've got the link which I sent you, haven't you? The groups come and go on that because we do pre-launch groups. So we have established groups. We have other groups where we're looking for 20 people in that sector. And if we can't get 20, we don't go with it because 20 is the minimum viable number to get that brain power going, really. And it's been an amazing experience, actually, because it's a bit like crowdfunding, but with the brain, We're pulling lots of people with lots of attitudes, lots of worries as well. I mean, literally last night I was in my VAs group doing a webinar, and we've got people who joined a year ago because these are not all new groups. And we've got people who joined yesterday in the same group, and we get the kind of experienced people to talk about their journey and what they've had to do to take it from this abstract of hundreds of pages of gobbledygook into what did the person with a business like yours do, and where are they, and what are they bothered by. And that's just amazing, actually. I'm so
Yeah.
proud of the people who've done it.
Yeah, and these kind of informal learning environments are always where people learn the most. Like you say, it's not training, it's collaborative, it's people coming together, it's ideas going back and forth, less than one person kind of talking at you. So
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
I
so
mean, I
I
do a
put the
lot of
link to the
talking.
of, of course, because you're an
You know
expert.
me. Well, I don't think it's I'm noisy. I think I'll probably talk about things I wasn't expert in, given half a chance. But
Okay, so I put the link into the Coffee Clutch group down there, and obviously you're coming to see us on the 4th of April at Torrington House, which I'll also
I
put a link
can't
to.
wait.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because I haven't
exciting.
been to see you guys for what, a year? Was it a year ago I came up? Claire
Do you
will
know,
know. She's live with us and chatting away.
I was I was
But it
thinking
was
about it the other
brilliant.
day, and I was like, it's been a couple of months, like 4 months maybe, but actually it's been a year, right? It's been a year since we were over in Hemel at the Death Lodge. So
Yeah,
at the very least, we'll have an exciting reunion to look forward to. But on top of that, we'll also have GDPR.
yeah. And the lovely camper van parking manoeuvres again, which were always fun
Of
at Hemel
course,
Hempstead. Yeah, it was this
as
time last
always.
year. Now, Claire's saying it's more valuable than training because it's tailored. That's really sweet. Claire, your surgeon visiting you on the ward couldn't work out how to put down the sides of your bed. You can't be awesome with everything. Yep, that's
Brilliant.
true, you
Yeah.
know, really true. I think the best way to tackle GDPR personally, and I'm biased about this, is in a group, because otherwise you've got to study everything.
Yeah.
Or you've got to pay a very large amount of money for someone else who's already studied it to tell you what to do. Well, not all of
Yeah.
us are in that position. You
Okay.
know, I
I have
don't
a
know how
very
many businesses you know can afford all this, but £1,000 a
well,
day
yeah.
is beyond the dreams of avarice for many people.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy if I had to pay that out, I'm not gonna lie. One kind of, I guess, final-ish kind of question just before we go off on another tangent. Um, let's say it's May 29th. Um, am I going to get fined if my data's not up to snuff?
Probably not. I love the word
Okay.
probably though, because my own
Yeah,
legal
yeah,
team like the word probably. Right, we're having a
yeah.
Carlsberg moment here, aren't we? The reason that is twofold. First of all, the Information Commissioner in the UK has said their policy on enforcement in the first year is going to be primarily advisory, where they see that a business is trying to comply and has just simply got it wrong.
Okay.
So that doesn't mean if you just go, no, this doesn't apply to me, you'll be in the advisory stream. But provided you're doing something, they're not up there to kill you for doing some bit of it wrong. The
Yeah.
second thing
Okay.
is they don't have an army of 70,000 data processing inspectors. So
Of course.
you're going to get caught up in this if you've got a data breach or if your client has a major data breach and you get caught up in the investigation, because we're all in a food chain of data, aren't we? You're
Yes.
more likely to worry about if your emails on whatever platform you use, from MailChimp to Infusionsoft to Constant Contact, are regarded as spam because you're not getting your sign-ups done properly. From May
Okay.
26, the data processors, who are people like MailChimp, can be fined too. So my thinking is that they're going to get very less than keen on hosting people whose emails get rated as spam by the people that they are sending them to, because for the first time on that day, they can be fined 20 million euros for having you on their platform and doing it.
Right. I see.
That's what
I
the
see.
20 million euros is about. So as a small business with a very strong need to market, my concern is not whether I'm going to be fined 20 million euros, because let's face it, I haven't got 20 million euros, so it's a bit academic.
Yeah.
It is actually whether my marketing platforms will kick me off if I'm viewed as delinquent. And I
Okay.
don't think they're going to do that on May 26th. I don't think there's going to be a night of the long knives, but you know that they all keep stats on what's opened, what's returned, who
Yeah. Of course.
unsubscribes, and whatever. And if your stats get to whatever internal threshold they've set, you could find yourself on a warning from them, or if you ignore it. And there's no obligation on them to warn you, by the way, but I'm assuming if
Right.
they're taking your money, they'll start with a warning rather than just turn you off. You know, but if you think about it, people get turned off Facebook, bang. They get turned off
Yeah.
LinkedIn, bang. There's nothing to
Yeah.
stop
Absolutely.
MailChimp doing the same. Whether they take that approach, I couldn't say. What is going to be fabulous, as Claire said, is it's going to be great at reducing spam. I'm already
Yes.
getting hundreds of emails a day from people I've never heard of saying, do you want to stay on our mailing list? Which is extraordinary because I didn't even know I was on it. Needless to say, I'm not responding with a yes. And I'm really looking forward to hopefully getting my inbox back to getting stuff from people I want to hear from.
Yeah, reasonable, right? I mean, I sit there and I look at my inbox, and so I'm using Google Mail, so I have the tabs, and all of a sudden I've got like 50 in my promotions, and I'm like, ugh, what is that? It's just.
Well, you same box to control it. And if I look at it now, and I mean, this is true, right? I've got 478 items in my inbox, some of which should be put straight to spam. I've got 59 I've designated non-spam. I've got 232 I might read later, and 2,214 unread newsletters.
Yeah.
So anyone who thinks sending me an unsolicited newsletter is a great way to sell me something is completely wasting their time, because if I did nothing else for a month, I still wouldn't have read 2,214 newsletters, would I?
Yeah, 100%.
So what do you think is going to happen to the majority of them?
As in those people?
No, the newsletters, they work their way through unread news into the next thing, which is archive. And I've got 9,884 emails. I'm looking at my box in archives that are unread. So
it's time to retire and start reading newsletters.
It's like, no, I'm not reading this stuff. So I think, I mean, I love what Claire does with a much more creative, engaged form of marketing. Obviously, if Claire sends me something, I read it because I'm interested in what she's got to say, because she doesn't send me a million texts and a million emails going, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. You know, this is the way of the future. Just like GDPR, it's much harder work to be thoughtful and interesting than it is to generate random spam.
Yeah, of course. And that's the point, isn't it? That we're hoping that we get more quality content coming out, and we as marketers, anybody in the group, or we as business owners, really need to be thinking, what quality is this giving? What value is this giving to people? And not the value of them spending money with us, but are we genuinely solving a problem? Hopefully, we'll receive less spam, or we'll just find new and inventive ways to get around spam.
Claire said, that's because I'm not a moron and I respect people. Well, yeah, it is a respect issue, isn't it, Claire? But it's also, if you want 10 minutes of my time to read a long newsletter, let's assume I get to the end, and some of them I really don't, you know, I'm never getting that 10 minutes back in my life, am I? I can't go, right, well, that was a waste of space. I'll have my 10 minutes back and do something else. And we're very selfish about other people's time. We value our own, but we tend to assume that we can waste everybody else's time with impunity. And that's another element of respect, isn't it? Why would you irritate your customers by sending them stuff they didn't ask for?
Yeah. 100%.
I don't know. Okay. I mean, I do get complaints about my own news, is that I don't send enough of them, but I'm quite happy with that. You know, about every 6 weeks I get complaints from people going, I thought you said the emails were going to be monthly, and it's like, oops, slipped out of cycle.
Okay, great. So I think we've covered some good points here. I think there's enough to certainly hopefully whet people's appetites to come on the 4th to have a bit more of a deeper explanation of what GDPR isn't. I think important as well, and also what we can do as businesses.
I just want to say one thing. When I'm talking about deeper, I'm not coming down to read you a book of statutes. You know, I tend to try and make it as interesting as I can. I'm the kid at the back falling asleep if it's boring. So I'm really focused on how can we make this work for you, not there is a law, here is another law. Another law, because to be honest, I wouldn't turn up to a seminar labeled GDPR now, because I've seen so many really awful ones. I'm thinking people will be like, okay, I need an app, you know. But I'm going to bring some workbooks if I get my printer to work. Don't ask. I've managed to break 2 printers in 48 hours, right? So people can actually start the process of sorting themselves out, and they're all brightly coloured and they got ducks on. You know, we're not talking.
Oh, well, you had me at brightly coloured, so that's fine.
Yeah. I might even bring my ducks, actually. I've got rubber ducks, graduate ducks, I've got high-flying ducks, because I think anything that makes it human, you know, take it away from gobbledygook and it starts to make sense. And we're going to have a good time. And it'll be good to see you again. And anybody who was at Hemel Hempstead a year ago, I can't wait to meet you and see how you're doing. Because last year we were talking about contracts, weren't we?
We were, yeah.
This year we talk about GDPR. And by the way, there is a connection. And next year, I hope to be talking to you about, you've got such an amazingly successful business, what you're going to do with all these people.
Yeah. Now that
you
you've
never know, do you?
Now that you've got all your contracts in place and you've sorted out your GDPR.
Yeah. Now you're ready to grow. Next year you'll be getting accountants saying, going, you've got tax problems, now what?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, thank you very, very much for taking the time out to do a live with us. And definitely looking forward to the session. And we just hope we can get as many, we cram Torrington Hall to the rafters of people.
Brilliant. Well, if there's a longer term version of this, I'll share it out, because I think I know people in your neighbourhood. You know me. I kind of know people in everybody's neighbourhood. And now we've got something with the date on it. I'll share it with them and see if we can't get some of my network to come to your network. Get my people to speak to your people, darling.
Yeah, darling, get my people to speak to your people. So I put 2 links underneath for anyone who's managed to get all the way through to the end. There is one for Annabelle's group, and there's also another one that is pinned, which is for the booking for the Success Matters event on GDPR on April the 4th at Torrington House. Again, thank you very much for your time. And
you're welcome. Thank you for yours, Chris.
Hopefully we'll do this again sometime, hopefully. Less wobbly, potentially. But
I must get a... What's it for it? I've got one, but for some reason it's got an input thingy the size of my last phone. There he goes.
Right.
Technology constantly changes, and to find a point on it, the thing I need to hold it up is the wrong size. I happen to a girl all the time. What can you say? I'll get another wobbly thingy. I'll get up of the tech. But it's good to talk to you. I'm longing to see you, and I'm longing to see Claire, who I hope will be with us in the room, because Claire, it's been too long. Definitely. So I'm going to say goodbye. I don't know how to stop myself.
So, that's just in general, though, right? And specifically on the live, it must be causing you some problems as well. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much again, and we'll see you on the 4th.
Speak soon.
Okay, everybody, just to finish up, thank you very much again, Annabelle, for coming on the live and spending some of your time with us. I've mentioned it a couple of times, the 4th of April, we will be at Torrington Hall. The link is pinned down here, and you can click on that, go through to Success Matters and book yourself onto the event. It's definitely going to be worth it. GDPR, it's on its way. Annabelle is definitely the right person to listen to about this. There are thousands others as well, but I think Claire mentioned the reason why we want Annabelle is because she will take it from gobbledygook through to something that's human. And of course, we're all looking forward to the, shall we call it, unveiling of Bionic Boils. So I will see you all on the 4th. Have a great day. And if you have any questions, I think Claire's mentioned, just PM or DM or put a comment in here if you have any questions you want us to ask Annabelle directly, and we'll do that on the day. Have a great day, everybody.